Let's be honest, guys, looks matter. If you deal with acne, redness, dark spots, or wrinkles, I know finding effective treatment can be complicated, but our friends at Roman have stepped up and created a customized prescription skincare solution, and it really performs. Roman offers free online consultation with a U.S. licensed physician. If you're a good candidate, a doctor will prescribe you a custom blended treatment based on your skin type that will be sent directly to you with free 2-day shipping. You will have unlimited follow-ups with a doctor. If you need to make a change or you have any questions, there are no commitments. You can cancel at any time. Go to GetRoman.com/ChaelSkin and try a 3-month supply of nightly defense for just $5. Remember, it's free to chat with the doctor, and your first order is just $5. That's GetRoman.com/ChaelSkin. Eligibility requirements and additional terms apply. Guys, this just in. I'm sitting over here minding my own business. I'm having a perfectly nice day, and quite frankly, I'm about to get up and leave when all of a sudden, news breaks Jon Jones has vacated the light heavyweight championship. Okay, my first thoughts, and I only have 3, so here they are. Number 1, he just stole whatever thunder DC and Stipe, Rosenstrike, and Cheeto had possibly created. The book is now closed on the headlines, and we have a new one, which is Jon Jones. So, for better or worse, that's what happened. Second thought is it true? I'm sitting over here today, I'm reading this, but I have a recollection. Not only did Jon Jones vacate the title a number of months ago, I came in and claimed it. And while that is tongue-in-cheek, I offer that to you because you might have seen the piece, and I clearly remember making it because he clearly already vacated the championship. So we found out the first time that he said, I'm no longer the champion, without losing said championship, that it just wasn't true, and now we're starting to see it again. This time, I do feel like it's true. You want me to bet? Yeah, I think that maybe Jon got one right the first time. I think maybe Jon is no longer the champion until that announcement comes from the other side of the tracks, right? I mean, it's kind of like the nuclear weapon. More than one person has to flip the key. And then ultimately, does that leave us at heavyweight? And it would seem as though, look, when Jon made the announcement, he stole all of the thunder, and you're left with, well, is that true? And is that even how it works? Do you just walk away? Let's look at some of the things he didn't say, okay? He did not say, I'm retiring. He did not say, I'm leaving the USADA pool. He did not say, I'm asking for a release from the organization. He said, I'm vacating the 205-pound championship. So if we're armed with that, we know he's not going down in weight. It's not as though he's leaving his title and then jumping in the same weight class as one of the boys trying to get back to himself. Kind of leaves us with heavyweight just by default. He didn't say those things, but he didn't also say those things weren't true. Okay, great. Let's make the logical assumption that Jon Jones just became a heavyweight. First off, I got to tell you, I like that. There's just a lot of interesting things, in my opinion, for Jon in that weight class. There really are. There's a lot of matchups there that are a lot of fun, and that definitely would outweigh the current matchups that are interesting and fun at light heavyweight. Things can change in a hurry. Jon was given some help a period of time ago. He was given help by 2 different guys, Chris Weidman and Luke Rockhold. Those were both big, interesting names within that division that would form a former champion against a sitting champion. There was just something special there that was very helpful. Those experiments didn't work out. So as much as I would come to you and tell you he doesn't have a lot of interesting things at 205 pounds, I don't really want you to hear that as Chael taking his usual chance to be a jerk to Jon Jones, as much as that's just kind of the spot that he was in. He's also in it because he's cleaned that division out. He's been in it so long. He's cleaned it out so well. He didn't have a lot of interesting things to do there. That's not true at heavyweight. You get that fresh coat of paint. It wouldn't matter if you were a great fighter at 205 or just a good fighter. I mean, I just offered you 2 examples that became interesting at light heavyweight, both within Weidman and Rockhold, off the top of my head, who were not the champions at the time that they moved up. But you see where that fresh coat of paint and that new parity becomes interesting. Well, if it's interesting for them, imagine a sitting champion moving up. We've seen champions go to different weight classes. Sure we have. Starting with Conor McGregor, but that moved on to Daniel Cormier. We saw Cejudo go up and down. We saw Amanda Nunes do. I mean, this is a real thing. Ryan Bader's still a sitting champ situation. It's a very real thing. But I don't know that we have ever seen a champion vacate, leave, go to another weight class without the guarantee of a title shot. And if we're to take everything that we're hearing at its word, for example, Jon vacating the title, second time he's done it, but something just feels right this time, doesn't it? Something feels right, particularly when Reyes versus Blachowicz was announced 15 minutes before. When we were told that Reyes' next fight would be for the world title, we of course assumed it would be against Jon, but now that it's against Blachowicz, who is very clearly the only other guy in line that has an argument right now, it would seem as though, yeah, Jon's pretty serious. So if he's going to go up to heavyweight, and we're also to take what we've heard at face value, which is it's going to be Ngannou versus Stipe, I think that you have some real moving parts there for Jon, which as a fan get really fun. Jon is a contender? What? How? What? That hasn't happened since Jon's debut fight. That ended 4 times after Jon's debut fight. I mean, Jon as a contender is just a unique thing. You've got my attention. Jon at a new weight class. Jon getting in there with the Curtis Blades of the world. The first thing you have to make sure you give Jon isn't somebody who can knock him out. I realize that's always the early narrative. Jon Jones is possibly the biggest veteran in the sport who has been the furthest from being knocked out. There has been some arguable knockdowns, but they're arguable. A couple of times that Jon has ever been connected with and left his feet, also by some eye, including on further review of look like slips. I don't know that we can definitively say Jon Jones has ever been knocked down. So to then come to the conclusion that someone's going to knock him out, okay. Before you get to all of that, you have to find him an opponent who has a reasonable belief, or who we can have a reasonable belief can stop the takedown. As fun as dynamic as Jon is on his feet, as special as that level of kickboxing and striking is, some of the stuff he does we've never seen before, the spinning attacks, boom, lead elbows if you saw the Rashad fight, just by example, some of the craziness that we see on the feet. I must tell you, Jon Jones and his ground and pound, it's fantastic. I mean, you might put Khabib as number 1. I'd be very surprised who you have at number 2 for ground and pound athletes aside from Jon Jones. And guys really aren't able to stop that takedown. It was one of the big surprises with the Reyes fight, that Reyes was able to offer such incredible defense to those offensive wrestling attacks of Jon. I only bring that up to you because that's what you really have to get through. If we're going to make believe that somebody can beat Jon, that's the first thing you're going to have to deal with. And I think that Curtis Blades inserts himself very nicely right there. To my understanding, Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis is not done yet. It's discussed. It's maybe a little further along in discussion, but it's not done. I don't think there's going to be any feeling out fight for Jon. It's going to be something very special. It's going to require something very special. As we've just worked through history, he goes right into a world title fight. But speaking of not done, Ngannou versus Stipe is not done. Dana said that's the one that makes sense. Ngannou said, yeah, I'll take that fight. We haven't heard from Stipe. Stipe hadn't said no, but we haven't heard from Stipe. And I don't know how we could expect Stipe to form a decision and opinion based on information that he did not yet have. I'm not sure anybody's going to go talk to Stipe about a fight right now. He has every reasonable expectation to go and digress a little bit, but that's not how the business works. The business moves forward. Second one fight is done, the marketing for the next fight begins. I only offer you that to you because it appears to me that Jon Jones and Curtis Blades aren't in a fight right now. It appears to me that Jon Jones and Stipe don't have a fight right now. But it does appear to me that Ngannou and Jon Jones are in quite a battle. It appears that they want the same thing. That all defaults back to number 2 on the list. Is Jon's information accurate? It's the second time he's told the story. It feels right. It feels right. But when you follow the golden rule of put yourself in somebody else's shoes and think how you would react, would any of you have left a division and a championship and championship points built into a contract if you didn't already have a deal?